Right.
Giving out
And
this is probably about 5 years ago, 4 years ago now. I did mushrooms for the first time, and it was a smaller dose, wasn't a big deal.
Yeah.
I remember sitting in front of a mirror on my floor and just staring at myself.
That shit you get locked in, bro.
Yeah.
I remember thinking like
mirrors can be.
Yeah.
I remember thinking like a lot of the insecurities I had were like bullshit.
So you kind of had like an ego death or whatever they call it?
Not the first go around.
Okay.
But it was actually a good time for
very
the most part.
introspective.
Very introspective. Like some of my insecurities about how I look, how I perceive myself, I was like, they're nonsense. Like it doesn't. None of that shit really matters. And I used to be very insecure, and it was nice. And I always kind of, from that experience, I kind of associated mushrooms with marijuana, because you smoke marijuana, you're in a better mood.
Yep.
You know, it enhances you.
When you're tripping, dude, one hit and your visuals get more enhanced. The feelings, man, they're a great combination.
Oh, yeah. And, I assumed, like, you smoke pot, you never are in a worse mood when you smoke pot. I mean, that doesn't happen. And one night I was supposed to go to a campfire with some of my family.
Good old campfire.
And I thought, you know what, fuck it, I'll just take a bunch of shrooms. I didn't.
Oh. With your family?
No, just me.
Oh, okay.
And I ate about 6 grams of.
Damn.
So no concern going in at all. Just
I just assumed it just
wanted to do it.
Yeah.
Okay, I like it.
But I didn't know what I was getting.
You weren't fully experienced
No.
with dosage and shit.
Oh, no.
You were about to drop a strain name, weren't you, of the mushrooms?
Yeah,
Kinda
it
look
was
like
albino
penis envy
Yeah.
apes.
Yeah.
I just had
Oh
some.
my god.
They're
They're like 2 times as strong as just regular mushrooms,
so
bro.
6 grams is a.
Like damn near 10 to 12.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're on a whole new adventure
and
on
this
that.
is on
bro.
my second psychedelic experience, and I even got into psychedelics because of listening to Joe Rogan talk about them.
Really?
And my life beforehand is I was very religious. I grew up in a fundamental Baptist church. I had a very closed mind. I was very hateful. I had a lot of inner turmoil going on, and I took those shrooms, and then me and my significant other at the time got into a really bad fight while they were kicking in.
That can either make or break a trip, dude.
Yeah, emotions are a big thing with shrooms, especially.
I think it's 100% the most important thing.
LSD and other psychedelics, I feel like aren't
More
as strong
visual.
on the emotional side. Shrooms is big with emotions.
Yeah, it's very. It can be very powerfully spiritual, like, intense. And I remember we were driving to pick up a friend, and I remember like the front of the Jeep that she drives, just like being able to see through it and being able to see the ground.
Shit.
And the world's morphing around me, and I mean, I'm just, this is the first time I've never even imagined this was a possibility.
Yeah.
And so I'm freaking out like a little bit in the beginning. I was a little panicky, and I was like, you know what? I'm panicking a little too much. Maybe I should just go home, drop me off. And I went home alone, went up into my bedroom.
But that was probably the best thing for you.
No.
No? Oh, no.
That's like the opposite.
Yeah. Well, I thought like you were leaving that situation, and now you're like, okay. And then it was worse.
It was worse because I have to throw back to I was very religious, and I had this fear of dying and going to hell in the back of my mind.
Yeah.
And I had an ego death, and I ceased to exist. It was like I had no memories of the past. I didn't know what I did for a living. I couldn't remember the name of my only child or anything about him.
Damn.
I mean, it wiped me clean. I was fucking terrified during it. And I mean, I was an emotional wreck.
And it came back.
Yeah. As I came down, like I was still in just a freaked out state, but it kind of showed me how much of an asshole I was at the time. And it showed me like how I hurt other people and just couldn't really see it. You know, like
your barrier wasn't allowing you to see that. Your ego, your pride.
It was my ego, and it allowed me to step outside my ego, and it allowed me to like kind of just look at myself from an objective outside perspective without any of my biases to kind of like, you know, hold it together.
Kind of like a random person.
yeah.
Seeing who this guy is.
Yeah. And I didn't like what I saw for sure. And after this trip, for like several months, I went through like a deep wave of depression because I felt like I had to completely reset as a human being. Like, all my belief systems, everything I thought about life and who I was, I had to start over. I had to rebuild myself into a new human being. And it was like that person legitimately died. And that was just from my second psychedelic experience. So
what age is this at, if you don't mind me asking?
It was about 4 years ago, and I'm 30, almost 31.
So 26.
26, 27.
And again, if you don't mind me asking, you said you didn't really experiment with any type of drug until when? Like even marijuana. When did you get exposed to just
smoking? And
yeah, when I got out of the Marine Corps, I was in the Marine Corps after high school, and I was very religious most of my life, and I was very anti-drugs, very closed-minded. I was the very typical fundamentalist, closed-minded religious person, and I had a friend that I'd had throughout high school that I went over to his house, and people were smoking pot, and this is the first time I'd ever even seen pot really in person, and they handed it to me, and I was like, I just went through the Marine Corps, and like, fuck it. Why
you
not?
said, what can I fucking handle, bro? What?
And I just remember the first time I smoked pot, how mind expanding it was for me.
Man.
Because just being that person that I was, and I just remember my consciousness just kind of like, I was just
like, bro, there's more to this.
Yeah, like I've been lied to.
I
remember.
That's a great way of putting it.
Yeah.
Such a good way of putting that. You've been lied to. You know?
Well, and back to the psychedelic experience, about maybe a year. It took me a long time, maybe a year or so, before I even like fathomed trying to do them again. And I was pretty scared, honestly. I was pretty scared to even dip my toes back.
You were like,
water.
what am I going to get into?
And I had a little bit of a smaller dose experience, and it was great. It was fantastic.
What are we talking smaller?
Like
1 to 2?
2 to 3.
2 to 3, okay.
And it was great time. And I finally felt like, you know, I can use this for like positive healing now.
Yeah.
And so like the next time I did like a 4.5 gram dose out in nature, and it was beautiful. It was a very life-changing experience. It allowed me to like kind of let more shit go, and it kind of allowed me to kind of figure out how to be my inner self outwardly.
Like, not hide it.
Yeah, not hide it. Just be, and not be so hard on myself. And that was something I was really bad about, just being extremely hard on myself.
It's a huge thing for a lot of people. Like, you got to think about how you were raised. I can see already. I mean, you said you were in that, you know, you had that classic religious, they're going to tell you that you're wrong and God thinks you're wrong. You know what I mean? Yeah. And it's like all these external factors. It's like, wait a minute, who even am I? And do I think it's wrong?
Yeah.
Because if I'm doing what I'm doing and I love it, why does it matter if someone thinks it's wrong?
And it took me a long time to let go of a lot of the dogma that I was attached to it, just because I had been essentially brainwashed as a child to be afraid of going to hell. And that's, in a lot of ways, I find that to be child abuse, like looking back at it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's kind of like a immature way to try to live some type of style. Like, oh, if you don't do this, you're just going to die and burn forever. Like, whoa, okay. I guess that person loves me. It's like a blackmail thing. You know what I mean? Like, you got to do all these things strictly and correctly. And I know Baptist is, you know, it has a lot more rules, and it's a little more stricter and set with the Bible's, things that, you know, obviously are right and wrong. Yeah. And, you know, I can definitely imagine what type of like change that was for you. Did you feel like you were kind of doing something, not while you were doing the psilocybin, but afterwards, did you have this type of regret / shame? Like, look what have I just done?
I mean, maybe initially
Mm-hmm.
when I went through that depression phase, but then as I started to rebuild my identity and I recognized that it was a good thing that I went through that,
Yeah.
that I was like, how can it be a negative thing if I was able to like fix a lot of my problems with this?
That's
like,
a good point.
I mean, how could God, I mean, if there's a God and he created everything, he created those.
Yeah.
With a purpose.
With a purpose.
He didn't just say, "Oh, whoops, sorry, it fucks you up if you eat it."
Yeah, no,
What?
no. I mean, what kind of drug gives you a spiritual enlightenment? Like, I mean, is that a drug? I
Right.
mean,
I wouldn't even count that as a drug. If anything, that's a tool.
Yeah, exactly. And it's it's something that you can approach with a mindset of like you just want to have a good time, you're partying, and it becomes one thing. But if you approach it with intent of trying to learn about yourself and about life and about the world, it becomes a completely different experience. Yeah. And you know, I think a lot of the propaganda against it points towards the party aspect to it.
I like how it's kind of getting in certain places, even the United States, like it's starting to be so basically completely decriminalized. Like that's where if they caught you, they'd take it and you're good to go.
Yeah.
Like it's getting to the point where people are allowed to grow it at their home.
Yeah.
I got a buddy who does it, and it's like it's basically legal until it fucking sprouts and you eat it.
Yeah,
Everything
you have to throw
before
it
that,
away, right?
the spores, everything that you can transport, all of
It's
that
like
shit's
a
legal.
scientific study.
Exactly. Yeah. You're basically, doing some type of study. You can basically get everything legal, but then, we make this rule where as soon as it fucking grows, like all plants do, now it's illegal. That just sounds like, it doesn't even make sense.
No.
This thing is growing. There's no manipulation to it.
Yeah.
It's naturally occurring.
Well, I think there's an underlying issue with it is that it causes you to question structures of society.
Yeah.
You know, whether it's the war machine or government or just any ideology, it breaks those down. And and
there's part of me that feels like before I did it, I was almost better off, but there's another half of me that's I'm so glad that I see these sorts of things this way now.
Yeah.
But
I know that
it's contradicting with religion too. They say God knows what you're thinking before you think it. This
Has
and
it all
that,
planned.
I'm gonna make mistakes. I feel like everything has happened for a reason. I feel like I took those for a reason, whether it did me good or it did me bad. I had to experience that to figure out something about myself.
Yeah.
And it helps you figure out a lot. It breaks you down, takes your walls down, you're talking about barriers. It strips you down, and you're naked again.
Yeah.
You get a reset button if you want to, and a lot of people don't use it the right way.
Like you said with the partying.
Yeah, there's
I
people
can't party on them.
Yeah,
I'm too much of
I'm trying to figure things out.
Yeah, but whenever we've done shrooms together, small amount, we listened to that new Kid Cudi album.
We're just
Shit changed my life, dude. I'm not kidding. Bro, that I don't listen to the album the same.
Yeah.
I always get that. The apes give you that glow, that vibe. They're super like you said, emotional. If you don't eat a whole lot, you're not really gonna get super crazy visuals. But the way you think, internalize things that you basically didn't even allow to pop up in your head. You know it's there. Because everyone gets those weird thoughts throughout the day, things that you said, shameful, regrets, but you don't deal with them. You don't allow your fucking brain to process that information. So now it's just bottled up. That's why whenever I take certain amount, bro, I cry.
Yeah.
I literally cry. I cannot help it. It has nothing to do with, I just got shot or, someone just died in front of me. No.
One time I was crying because I just missed Max. I was just crying.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was weird.
Or sometimes it's happiness. When I listen to that song, I'm just filled with emotion.
And I think as a man, especially and being on Earth, you're expected to suppress those emotions.
Yep.
And you're expected to be
Strength.
Yeah. You pull yourself up by the bootstraps and you do what you got to do and just, put your emotions to the side. And I think that hurts a lot of men. You know, I think it's considered a sign of weakness if you show your feelings, and that's a strength in my opinion. Like if you're able to be open about who you are, like that's something that most people are cowardice.
You're not afraid to show it.